Voters keep saying over and over again, we are not comfortable with this level of immigration. I understand why. It doesn't make you a racist to say that. And yet, the liberal parts of, certainly in America, Alex Padilla said last week, he is our senator here, by reviving Trump's asylum ban, Biden has undermined American values. And then they all stand back and go, we don't want to be called a racist, so we will not make a move on immigration.
So everyone's taking shots at the left over their failed sanctuary city experiment. And now Bill Maher's jumping into the fire. He argues the whole idea was never realistic from the start and says he warned the DNC long ago, but they ignored him. Now that same policy has exploded into one of the worst migrant crises in modern history, and Maher's done holding back. Buckle up, this one's about to get heated.
It's again the same principle as I was saying before about like the reverse of what liberalism really is. Liberalism is, for the sake of humanity and compassion, can we get these people off the streets? And woke is, how dare you ask them to move? This is their home.
They have rights.
No, it's not. There's easily a better solution to this. But instead they put them in hotels? That's your answer, hotels? Could everybody just stop the posturing?
Maher takes a firm stand on what he calls true liberalism, and it's not about turning cities into open-air shelters. He argues that real compassion means helping the homeless off the streets, not making street life more livable. To him, genuine liberalism tackles root causes like mental illness, addiction, and unemployment, not glorifying homelessness as some alternative lifestyle. He slams those who insist the homeless should simply be left alone, calling that attitude a symptom of the fringe left. Ignoring suffering, he says, isn't kindness its neglect disguised as virtue. Maher reminds his audience that liberalism once meant rebuilding lives, not enabling despair. As he puts it,
don't pretend that you love migrants so much, and then when we send them to you, you don't like them. You know? You're full of and we can see that. Yeah, you like them when it wasn't your problem because you're not a border state. And then when they show up in Chicago and New York, you're like, what are we going to do with these people?
That's exactly the point. We've seen blue states like New York, Illinois, and Massachusetts proudly wave the open borders flag when it earns them applause, but panic the moment migrants actually arrive. These states, far from the southern border, were the loudest in preaching compassion without limits. Yet when buses started unloading in New York City, shelters in Chicago burst at the seams, and Massachusetts declared a state of emergency, their tune changed overnight. They love to showcase empathy when the cameras are on, preaching about inclusion and humanity. But when the consequences land at their own doorstep, that compassion suddenly has boundaries. It's a clear case of political hypocrisy proof that it's easy to support open borders when your own backyard isn't the one being overwhelmed.
Eventually, this was going to come to a neighborhood near you, and it is. We need to control the border. We need to call a state of emergency, and we need to properly fund this national crisis. We need help. We need help, and it's not going to get any better. From this moment on, it's downhill. There is no more room.
That's Mayor Eric Adams, the same man who once proudly championed New York as a sanctuary city and preached open borders with confidence. But now, reality has caught up. With shelters overflowing, budgets collapsing, and residents outraged, Adams has been forced to face the consequences of his own rhetoric. The man who once welcomed everyone with open arms is suddenly calling for border control. It's ironic, but also revealing even he now sees that the open border dream was never sustainable. It's refreshing to see at least one leader wake up to reality. But what about Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass or California Governor Gavin Newsom? Don't hold your breath. They're still clinging to the illusion of endless compassion while their cities crumble under the pressure of their own failed policies. Instead of admitting their mistake, they double down.
Voters keep saying over and over again, we are not comfortable with this level of immigration. I understand why. It doesn't make you a racist to say that. And yet, the liberal parts of, certainly in America, Alex Padilla said last week, he is our senator here, by reviving Trump's asylum ban, Biden has undermined American values. And then they all stand back and go, we don't want to be called a racist, so we will not make a move on immigration.
And that, right there, is the heart of the problem. Deep down, many Democrats know the open borders agenda is backfiring, draining city resources, compromising safety, and overwhelming public services. But they're too afraid to say it out loud. Behind closed doors, they acknowledge the chaos. Yet when the cameras turn on, they fall in line, parroting the same tired talking points. Why? Because honesty in today's political climate comes with a cost. The moment someone questions the policy, the far-left mob rushes in with labels: xenophobic, heartless, traitor. So instead of truth, we get silence. Instead of leadership, we get fear. Many would rather guard their political image than guard their country. And that's why the crisis rages on, because courage has been replaced by cowardice, neatly disguised as compassion.
It's going to get them at Election Day. It's happening in Europe right now. That proves it in Europe, and it's going to happen here in America.
There's a real moral reason that we should let people into this country who are suffering.
At any number?
No, I mean,
but that's their point. But 64% of Latinos support giving the president authority to shut down the U.S. borders. 62% of registered voters would deport all migrants.
This is where it gets really interesting. Bill Maher just dropped a stat that flips the entire narrative. Even immigrants themselves are against open borders. That's right. The very people the left claims to be defending actually want stronger border control. They know firsthand what chaos looks like when a system breaks down. Many came here the right way, legally worked hard, paid their dues, and built a life from scratch. Now, they're watching the same system being abused by those cutting in line without accountability. They understand that compassion without control isn't kindness, it's chaos. They've lived through what happens when borders collapse and laws mean nothing. So if the very people liberals claim to protect are sounding the alarm, maybe it's time Democratic leaders actually listen. Because ignoring those who know the cost of disorder isn't progressive. It's reckless.
What do you New Yorkers think of how Mayor Eric Adams and Governor Kathy Hochul?
Yes, you pronounced it right.
I take it you're a big fan. Have handled the city's migrant crisis. I saw today they're offering any of these migrants, this sounds like a game show, a plane trip to anywhere in the world. There's policy, you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here.
Yeah, that's pure desperation right there. Mayor Eric Adams and Governor Kathy Hochul have officially hit their breaking point with the migrant crisis, and their solution is about as shaky as it gets. Their big idea? Offer free plane rides for migrants to relocate elsewhere. Sounds generous, right? Well, not exactly. Here's the problem. No one's taking those flights. These migrants didn't risk everything just to bounce around. They came specifically to live in the United States. The plan backfired spectacularly, proving once again that slogans aren't strategies. Now, the same Democrats who once bragged about being a sanctuary for all are quietly backpedaling, trying to escape the mess they helped create. They're running from their own policies, but can't admit it, because doing so would mean acknowledging what conservatives have been saying all along.
Even some of these places sort of deserve it, I'll ask you this, by saying we're a sanctuary city, like how these terrible racist border states were, and then when they called their bluff and sent the migrants to them, they were like, suddenly they weren't quite so liberal. They're what I call liberal in theory people. No. A lot of people are liberal in theory, and when the migrants arrived, they were like, what the
Let's call it what it is, double standards. Liberals have perfected the art of saying whatever sounds good when the cameras are rolling and the election clock is ticking. They talk endlessly about compassion, equality, and inclusion, the kind of buzzwords that win applause, but rarely deliver results. But when those same feel-good policies spiral into chaos, it's suddenly crickets. The same leaders who once championed these ideas start pointing fingers or quietly pretending they never backed them. The moment their rhetoric collides with reality, they vanish. It's political theater at its finest. Perform empathy when it's convenient, abandon responsibility when it's not. True leadership means standing by your convictions, even when it costs you. But for too many liberals today, it's not about outcomes, it's about optics. And that hypocrisy is finally catching up with them.
Part of this is a backlash to how badly Biden handled the immigration situation. It can't just be like come one, come all, which
Dude,
it was.
There's plenty of room here, and we need
Room.
There's plenty of room in America. Come on, there's not lack of room in America.
But it's never about room, it's about resources and about like having countries have to have a border. It just can't be, I mean, they've done surveys and something like 200 million people around the world when asked, would you come to America if you could? Yes, I would. Why wouldn't they? Lots of countries, are, and they would love to be here. You can't
The places aren't, but...
Well, they are. I mean, that's why they want to come.
And it's usually because of America, what America's done.
Bill Maher nails it perfectly. It's not about space. It's about resources. Yes, America is vast, rich, and powerful, but even the strongest nation has limits. You can't keep inviting the entire world in when housing, healthcare, and social systems are already stretched thin. Compassion without capacity isn't virtue, it's self-destruction dressed up as kindness. Maher argues that instead of flooding into other countries, migrants should channel that same determination into rebuilding their own, fighting corruption, demanding accountability, and creating change where they live. Because escaping to America can't be the only plan. Every nation has a duty to fix itself. And as Maher bluntly puts it, if America collapses under the weight of everyone else's problems, nobody wins. Saying no isn't cruelty, it's realism. And it's the only way to protect a nation's survival.
Immigrants don't like it that the left seems to have this unrelenting negativity toward the country that these immigrants work so hard to get here.
Good point.
They really worked hard to get here. And when Trump says, I think a lot of them are going, yeah, you're right, it's where I came from. Why do you think I got on the ocean on a raft or walked 1,000 miles? Because I was living in paradise? There are places that are in this world, and the immigrants know it.
I might not use Maher's exact words, but he's absolutely right about one thing. There are countless countries far less desirable than America. That's why millions risk everything to come here for safety, opportunity, and the promise of a better life. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Welcoming everyone without proper screening or accountability doesn't make us noble, it makes us vulnerable. Unchecked immigration isn't compassion. It's chaos waiting to unfold. We have no idea who's entering, what their intentions are, or how our communities will bear the weight. America can remain a beacon of hope, but only if it protects what makes it worth coming to: order, law, and stability. Ignore that, and it's only a matter of time before America starts resembling the very places people are fleeing from. Maher's message cuts through the noise. America's compassion cannot come at the cost of its survival. Sanctuary cities are crumbling under their own hypocrisy. Blue states are backpedaling. Even immigrants are calling for stronger borders. Yet the left still refuses to admit what's obvious. Open borders don't save anyone. They endanger everyone. True liberalism isn't about slogans. It's about solutions. Until Democrats face the reality that a nation without control isn't a nation at all, this crisis will only grow worse. America's heart may be big, but its resources and patience are not limitless. And on that note, we wrap up today's video. If you enjoyed it, hit that like button, subscribe, and stay tuned for more hard-hitting commentary just like this.